myself and the Lexus and go out there and participate in the Daytona Rolex 24 Hours. So looking forward to it.
You were just speaking to Mr. Doonan here. You've actually run the road course before.
That's
Tell
correct.
everyone about that.
Yeah, 2008, myself and Scott Speed ran a Ganassi prototype in the summer sprint race. It was in the middle of the day, and it was 1,000 degrees inside the car, and we had the NASCAR race that night. I remember just being flushed after that race was over. It was so hot, but we didn't fare too well. I was slow, car was slow, we were slow, and so I'm looking forward to hopefully being a bit faster this time around. And got some great help with the team. Everybody at Ambassador Sullivan Racing has done a great job of welcoming me in and making me feel a part of the team. Jack and my other teammates have done a fantastic job of helping me out, getting me up to speed, getting me accustomed and used to what this form of racing is and what it entails.
You were in the car this morning a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that. What's your impressions of it?
Yeah. Jack took the first run and had an opportunity to kind of baseline it, shake it down a little bit, and then I got my turn at the wheel and was able to run some pretty decent times, I guess. That's what the guys said anyways. I don't know. I still haven't seen a whole lot of the data or the lap times and stuff, but certainly a lot to improve on still. I've got my NASCAR driving techniques just embedded in my brain, and I've got to get rid of those a little bit more. So getting more accustomed to what this car can take and what the driving techniques are that are different between the two vehicles is certainly a lot.
You talk a little bit about your preparation. I know you spent some time talking to Jack and other people on the team leading up to this just to be ready for it.
Yeah, we did. Jack actually flew into town and we spent a day on the simulator over in TRD Salisbury, so that was very useful and a great learning tool. Definitely learned a lot. Came out of that with a good baseline for being able to come here and have a better understanding of what to expect. And if I didn't have that, I'd probably be completely lost. So it was good to do that. Jack's been my biggest help and supporter. Obviously Townsend as well too. I've talked to him a few times on the phone. Having Jack hands-on with us at the test, and then being my teammate here, we were just getting ready to overlook some data and stuff like that before coming over here. So hopefully we can get to that before next session.
All right, thanks. We'll open it up for some questions. We'll start with Jordan here in the middle.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Talking to some of your teammates, they thought maybe braking and getting used to the brakes might be kind of the biggest adjustment for you. I was wondering if that's true, and you kind of walk me through some of the other adjustments that you're having to go through.
Yeah, no, the braking is certainly the biggest adjustment. I'm used to our big, heavy stock cars where you have to start the slow down process way early, and the braking zone is forever, and then by the time you turn in, you got to be off the brakes because otherwise the inside wheels will lock up and you'll skid tires and stuff like that. So you also have to take care of our brakes on the Cup cars because the cars are so heavy and they're steel and all that sort of stuff that you can really overheat them and create soft pedal and things like that. So completely different techniques that you've got to work with. On these cars, you can drive the snot out of them. I mean, you can just throw it off into the corner as far as you feel like you can get in there and stomp the pedal as hard as your leg will allow you to do it, and figure out where the apex is and get through that and exit. So it's just completely different in that aspect, but lines and driving around the track and throttle application, that sort of stuff is pretty relative to what the car feels like for its weight, its downforce, and stuff like that.
Did you feel yourself getting each lap you're out there more comfortable and you can kind of push it more and more?
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely getting more comfortable and pushing a little bit more and more. In my last lap on the track, I threw it in the bus stop about 50 feet past where Jack was, so that was too far. Noted. I'm ready for the next session. I get my chance behind the wheel to kind of fine-tune my marks a little bit more and just get more finesse. Right now it's pretty sloppy, I feel like, so once I can get some laps out there and get a sense for where I need to be, it'll clean up and be easier to run fast.
Right down in front with Jenna.
Hey Kyle, what if they told you about traffic, particularly at nighttime? You're not going to be racing for the lead. You're going to have to use your mirrors. Some of these guys are much slower, less qualified. I mean, how are you going to adapt to that, and how are you preparing for that?
To me, it's going to be all about communication from the team, especially if you're gaining on someone in front of you that is either A in your same class or B in just a class above. it's weird to be gaining on somebody a class above, right? So you obviously would want to know what driver that is and such, but majority of the time it's going to be all about what's behind you, what's going on, what's coming up, the DPs and everything, and so that's so far so good. I mean, we haven't been in a pack and in a gaggle and having people racing, but so far with, I got Hirschman, so he's up there helping me, and so far with what he's been talking to me about, it's been really good. You kind of have a judge on how close they are to whether or not you need to let them go into the next corner or whatever, so I feel pretty comfortable with it so far.
Dalton, right here, raise your hand, Dalton, and you bring your microphone. Got you, Nate, too.
Hey Kyle, Dalton Hopkins, Hometown News. You have a pretty storybook career behind you, mostly in stock cars, obviously, but here you are back at Daytona in sports cars. What does a place like Daytona mean to you, and what would it mean for you to get a class win in the Rolex 24?
It would mean a lot. I didn't come here to completely have fun. Of course, I want to have fun, but more importantly, I want to be able to go out there and win for Lexus and for AIM Vassar Sullivan Racing, and to be able to put on a good show for the fans that show up here, but also for the NASCAR community as well too. To just be one of those guys that comes out here. I know my brother's done it before. I know Johnson's done it. Gordon's done it. Almendinger's here. So definitely a lot of guys that have shown their taste of the Rolex 24, and this is my chance to be able to do that. So just hope that we can keep it all on the racetrack for the whole race and have a shot at the end.
All right, we'll go over here to your left, Kyle, with John DeVries.
John DeVries, Sports Car 365. Expanding a little bit on traffic, have you gotten any advice from any of your co-drivers about how to deal with the traffic at night and in the battles that'll be coming in the race?
Yeah, essentially what I know is white lights behind you are faster, green lights behind you are about the same class. So, knowing that sort of stuff, and then again, just being in tune with the crew and the spotter of who's in what car and things like that, So we've gotten our fair share, so far so good. I don't see anything that's too crazy at the moment, but I'm sure a lot of that can change in a hurry when you get into what a real race would be.
And Kyle, right here in front of me.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, you were mentioning that you think you're doing a good job because they're telling you that, but obviously, I think there was one point you got out of the car and you were smiling, and somebody asked me, and you said, I don't know. You're such an exacting, demanding driver when you're in NASCAR, and you know the way you want things. Is it fun to kind of be in this situation where you're walking into it cold and you don't really have a lot of experience or knowledge in a way? I mean, I presume it's been a long time since you've been in this type of situation.
Well, I'm already trying to set up the car. We're talking about the car. Yeah, it's got understeer here, it's got oversteer there, whatever, those sorts of things. And I suggested us going softer, and they're like, "Well, we're as soft as we can get." And I says, "Well, that ain't soft enough." So there's definitely some things to these cars and what these guys are doing that I feel like the NASCAR teams and the engineers and everything are pretty sophisticated and pretty advanced. I mean, these guys are smart as well too, but I don't think I've ever heard that we're as soft as we can go. You always think of different ways of being able to engineer something, but obviously there's a rule book as well too, so I have no familiarity with any of that. So I could be totally off base to what my team already knows and I don't. So
It's fun though. I mean, you're
yeah,
enjoying that part of it?
absolutely. I mean, with so far, Jack, myself, Parker got in just for an in-out lap. He didn't get much time. I stole the time from him. So just talking about the car and what it's doing, we're saying very, very similar things. The guys on the other team, on the other car, are saying very similar things. So we're each going to go kind of in different directions and see what that leads to better performance, and then we'll reconvene and figure it out for tomorrow.
Go back to Jenna right here.
You teased on social media today, Rowdy coming soon. What should we be looking for?
Rowdy Energy is a new energy drink line that I'm starting that I formulated with the CEO of Suja Juice, who's coming over to run my company, and it's going to be good. It tastes better than many of the leading brands, and it's a little bit better for you than many of the other brands that are out there. So, you know, I feel like there's a lot to come, and we'll have more about that here in the next coming weeks. Yeah.
Stay in the middle right there, Kyle.
George Racing Nation. Kyle, on the conditioning side, what if anything special do you have to do to get ready for this race?
So far, just I've done all my typical stuff. You know, I do workouts, you know, typically 60 minutes every single day. You know, some HIIT training where you have weights with cardio involved as well too. So I do that about every day, and I haven't done anything else special from what I typically do with my NASCAR stuff to this car here. Seems as though it's, I wouldn't say there's easier to drive, but with the amount of attack that you can give them into the corners and stuff, the centrifugal force through the corners is still very similar to what we have in the Cup cars.
Right down here in front.
Kyle, this race always attracts, you know, a mix of drivers from all over the world of motorsports. How interesting, how exciting is that for you to be a part of this event this year with these different drivers that you don't usually race against?
Yeah, it's really cool. The only other time I've done something like this was Race of Champions I did a few years ago when it was in Miami. And, you know, you had Sebastian Vettel was there, Sebastian Loeb was there, you had Ryan Hunter-Reay there, and many of others I can't even remember right now, but you get the gist. And so here, you know, I saw Ryan Hunter on the grid out there and just said hello, and then, you know, a few other guys that would be familiar faces around here as well too. For me would be Helio, Montoya, and obviously Allmendinger as well too. So some of those guys, but many of the others, you know, I've probably never met in person. I know Bourdais, I guess I could say him, you know, but a lot of them aren't very familiar. So it'll be cool to just get out there and, like I said, mix it up a little bit.
All right, anything else for Kyle? All right, thank you for your time.
Right on. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now we'll get ready to. Days ago, you've been in the. You've had some extra time now with some of your thoughts and some of the things you might be working on.
Yeah, just you know, continuing to find good pace and the ability to keep our car running good times throughout a stint and not falling off too much. So that's kind of where our work is right now. But other than that, it's been good. Certainly learning a bunch and getting a good feel for the track and traffic and things like that. Pretty confident with everything we got going on. That so far so good, and little tiny things to change, but sometimes those little things can mean a big deal, and we'll just keep it.
The other day about braking was probably your first and foremost. Maybe address that, and maybe something else that's come up that's been a little different than your Cup car.
Yeah, I mean the brakes, just getting used to how hard you can abuse them. Our cars have ABS, so kind of has its own system of being able to really push the car to its limits, and it kind of takes care of itself getting into the corners. I've certainly overstepped that a couple times, just trying to find where that limit is, and been able to kind of fine tune where I feel like I need to be, and that's been getting more consistent each run out with lap time and everything too, being able to bring my lap times down and get a little bit quicker, and then of course just working on the ability to keep the rear tires on the racetrack for the entire run and too out of shape.
All right, we'll get to questions now from everybody. We've got John over here.
Any interesting moments on track in terms of traffic or any close calls from your standpoint?
Yeah, there was one time going into 3, there was a faster LM car that threw it in on the bottom, and I was just going to kind of roll the second lane on the outside, and he just kept washing out, and you know, I had to swerve to get out of the way because I wasn't sure I was going to get body slammed or not. So learned from Jack that correct road course driver etiquette is do not ever be on the outside of another guy because he'll just force you off. So he was actually quite entertained when he ran his NASCAR race at Road America last year that guys would actually give you room on the outside of a corner and not just throw you off in the dirt. So he was like, wow, there's a lot of driver camaraderie now, and side to side, but not front to rear, where this is opposite. You can't really touch front to rear, but they'll body slam you if they need to, I guess.
We'll go in the middle here with Jordan.
Jordan behind the Athletic, I have 2 questions. One, last night was your first time behind the wheel at night. What was that experience like, and what do you expect for the Rolex for evening driving?
It was good. I was fine with it. No problems at all. There was plenty of lighting out there. You know, even they asked me if I wanted the headlights tuned in a different way, so you know I could see better at night. And I'm like, what do you even need the headlights for? Like, there's plenty of light. And I raced local short tracks, some of them dirt, when I was growing up as a kid, and there wasn't very much light at those places. So it seems as though my eyes still work okay.
Second question, a little bit off the wall. Talked to Jack, and he was giving you a hard time about your fire suit and how at the bottom it's a little cut differently than the other guys.
Yeah, the other guys look like they're wearing something that they're getting ready for the flood, and look like underwear, long johns, where mine actually look like a pair of pants. So yeah, I got the regular boot cut on my fire suit, NASCAR style. Theirs is all wrong, mine's right.
Godwin, you got a question for Kyle?
Just your overall experience since you've been here. Have you enjoyed it? Has it been eye-opening for you to participate in this kind of competition?
Yeah, I think the biggest eye opener is just the amount of people that were here for the test. Last couple of days has been pretty remarkable. So other than that, just it's been busy. A lot of stuff kind of happening, a lot of things going on. You've got some pre-brief meetings, and then the practices, and doing some driver swap and things like that while we're out there on the grid or in the pit, kind of practicing that, getting ready for the race, and then also the debriefs and things. And so it's just always kind of something on the calendar, it seems. And was able to get a couple hours downtime here just now for lunch and just to chill for a little bit. Go run our final stint and head on out of here. So it's been fun, and I've certainly enjoyed it. Looking forward to coming back for the 24.
Right in front of you, Kyle, with Stephen Cole.
Kyle, any other extracurricular plans for the year? Is this the only non-NASCAR race you're going to do? You're going to do any short track? Anything else coming up for this season besides NASCAR?
Yeah, I've got a couple short track race ideas on my mind. Not ready to release those yet. And then anything else? No, not really. This was kind of the only one. You know, there's always Indy out there, but nothing seems to be coming together. And then, trying to do Le Mans was kind of on the radar, but there's too many driver restrictions and other things, and now schedule restriction that I can't go run that. So it's very complicated. I don't know why things have to be so complicated, but we'll figure it out one of these days to go run some more things and continue to expand my horizon.
Right over here on your right, Kyle.
What's the experience like while you're running your own race, concentrate on your own car, to have guys coming very much faster prototypes?
Yeah, talking about interesting moments on the racetrack, there was another one this last practice where I was running around. My team car was in front of me. He had just passed another GTD car, and then it was my turn to pass the GTD car, and he got out of shape in one of the exits, and I was going to look to the right, but then I was told that there's a DP coming, so I had to stay in line and basically forfeit the whole next corner, which then led to the long straightaway on the backstretch that then I couldn't catch him before the bus stop, so I had to wait until turn one. So it's just interesting moments like that, certainly, that are going to play out the whole time in the race, where you have instances in which you're faster than the guy in front of you, and just barely, because it's a class car, and you're trying to pass that guy, and you're trying to make your timing on when and where that you want to make that move, but you got these other guys that are coming and blowing your doors off on some of these corners that you basically have to forfeit, and you can lose a lot of time in doing those things. And sometimes if it gets down into the final 4 hours, I would imagine Jack's going to be driving, so it's going to be his responsibility to go make up those spots or whatever needs to happen. But you certainly, in my instance, don't want to give up too much time being behind the wheel and miss some chances to keep your lap time relative to the rest of the cars you're racing.
All right, one right here in the middle, Kyle. Dole.
Hi, Dole Company's Hometown News. Kyle, I know this is only the Roar, but is there a chance that later on down in your career we could see you come back for competing for an overall win in the DPI class and maybe even try to go for that entry in Le Mans?
Yeah, certainly it would be nice. I'd love to give anything a shot, at least once or twice or whatever. But, just where Lexus is and with my relationship with Toyota, obviously this is kind of the first step in that. What happens after this, whether or not they stay in GTD or they go to LM or maybe they go where what the future holds. You know, obviously they've got a huge program at Le Mans that seems to be pretty dominant these days, and those cars aren't even close to what the DPIs are. But if there's somewhere that they can kind of fit that in to where a Toyota quote-unquote Lexus would be a DPI, then certainly that would open some doors up. But you never know. Let's see what happens.
All right, anything else for Kyle? All right, appreciate your time. We'll see you in a few weeks.